Welcome to the 13th episode of You Got It, standing for unabashedly giving all the time. And today I have with me Robb Gilbear. I'm reading off your LinkedIn profile, brand new best-selling author of Die Before They Do, From Selling Drugs to Lunch with Jim Carrey, Stories of Struggle, Near-Death Experiences, and Creating a Life with Meaning. All right, but we're going to do something which is first time ever. I'm going to attempt to do some crooning for 30 seconds of a Bon Jovi song, and Mr. Robb, who did this as part of his book launch, had some crazy dance moves. And you've been a DJ in your past. I will get to that in a bit. Okay, so ready to go?
Yeah, let's put on the music. Let's go.
Okay. Hey, so it's only me going to be singing. There's going to be no music, so you got to get pretend that you know.
You thought you were going to play the song?
I could play the song, but then I could share that, right? Do you want to do that?
What? I'm going to dance to you singing? Come on! I thought we were playing some music and having a dance party.
That's next time. All right, so let's do it. 1, 2, 3, let's go. We weren't born to follow. Come on and get up on your knees. When life is a bitter pill to swallow, you gotta hold on to what you believe. Believe that the sun will shine tomorrow and that your saints and shiners bleed. Weren't born to follow. You gotta stand up for what you believe. All right, I'm gonna stop right there.
You're way braver than me. That's so crazy. You did a cappella karaoke. Do you know how brave that is?
Yeah, I do crazy stuff, right? But nothing braver than what we're going to talk about over here, right? So, just an intro about how you and I met. Thanks to the amazing audience income, Justin and Jennifer Wells. It's an amazing community. And when I first saw Rob talking about, hey, my book is coming out, it's like the title itself was like so stunning, right? But then your posts, which is really how this whole thing, hey, you have to be on the You Got It show, right? So the first question again is, and I ask this of all my You Got It guests, is do I have anything worthy of giving? That imposter syndrome, right? And it hits everybody. So how did you get past that? Saying, hey, I mean, we'll talk about the kinds of posts you share, but how did Rob get past the point of saying, hey, you know what, I have lots to share, and yes, I'm still learning, but even as I learn, I'm going to give.
So it's a few things. I really believe that every person is somebody's spokesperson. And for example, if you and I had similar experiences, similar background, similar everything, and someone was choosing who they want to work with or who they would speak to about their problems or who they would go to for advice or any of that, someone would choose me because I'm bald, because they can relate to that. And someone would choose you because they see something in you. They, that you've got a beard.
I have a nice background.
You have a nice background. Like it's just whatever. Or someone would relate. Someone comes from the same part of the world as you do, and they have the same. They have a similar accent. Like they're really, people make subconsciously sometimes really small decisions, and I can't change that. Like you cannot change your accent. I cannot change. My hair is not coming back. So someone chose us for that. So just knowing that is helpful. And the other piece is anytime that, we all have one-on-one conversations, privately sharing, a friend, a family member, a loved one who comes to us sometimes, and you make that connection with someone and they're thankful and they feel seen and heard. And just realizing that if you're able to have that impact with one person, then what happens once you amplify it? What happens once you put it out on a bigger platform? And if I want to go on for 1 minute longer, there's a hard story in the middle of the book about suicide. And it's probably one of the hardest chapters. Well, it was the hardest chapter for me to write. And I know for people, it's one of the hardest chapters to read. It's something that I wanted to speak about publicly for a long time because I've had too many friends who've taken their lives. And after the last friend of mine did it last year, I promised myself that I was going to start speaking about it publicly, but I didn't. And I was afraid and I was hesitant. And what would people say? And how could I talk about it? And would it come across contrived? And I got into that overthinking stuff. And I was in a one-on-one coaching call with a client who was having a really bad day and shared some thoughts and worries and struggles with me. And I shared my challenges with mental health with them. And they opened up and they were so grateful and thankful and said that it meant so much that I was willing to share and be vulnerable. And then in that moment, after that call, I took my phone and I recorded a video. I was crying. It was ugly. It was messy, but it was real. And I shared that. That got 25,000 views on LinkedIn. That got hundreds and hundreds of, and it's not just about, the likes, the comments, but the messages that I got in my inbox from people thanking me and saying how important it was and how much it meant to them and how they really needed to hear this. And they were, I don't know how much it's helped them when they're in a difficult place, et cetera, et cetera. And I just think it's a quite extreme example, but it's a really great example. And sometimes it can be smaller things, but it builds connection. Everyone is struggling silently. Most people don't talk about it.
And that's so powerful, right? I mean, what you mentioned, that aspect of people may not publicly come out and comment, but that DM is like you got them to a point where they reached out to Rob. That's amazing. The second aspect to this, which is, okay, let me conquer Mount Everest or Kilimanjaro, pick your famous peak, right? Once I've got there, I'm going to tell others how to get here, right? Versus the you get it mentality, which is every step you take, I'm going to help the other person, right? So again, and this is not something that started business school, right? Which is okay. And in Hinduism, which is, well, I'm a Hindu, right? I mean, this whole karma thing is really built on that, which is the karma buying, the aspect of giving is part of who we should be. So talk a little bit about, I mean, you do a lot of it and you talk a lot about it, right? But advice to people who, again, as a corollary to the previous question, which is, I may have something worthy of giving, but let me hit a milestone before I start doing it. Right?
So I do think there's some validity for you, having some experience before you turn around and say you're going to teach other people. But I think, as you pointed out, unfortunately, people often wait too long, or they wait until they think they've got it perfect, or they've got something shiny to kind of show for it. And one of the beauties of teaching every step of the way is it reinforces your learning. It really pushes you to reflect. It pushes you to extract your own learnings and lessons from it. And if you're sharing, if you're teaching, if you're giving along the way, then not only is that, part of a really great karmic relationship, but it reinforces your own learning and absorption of what it is that you've learned and the steps that you've taken.
Yeah, and also the one of the things that you talk about both in the chapters in the book as well as publicly is the failures, right? And sometimes it's not about the conquers, it's about, hey, what are the things that we completely, or I failed miserably at coaching, right? I sucked at it, right? And I said, this is the reason I sucked. I had one client and he thinks I was a great coach. I was like, nah, Roshan, you're being too kind, right? But I think that aspect of it is also something that is overlooked, which is, hey, yes, you're journeying and along the way, you have things that did not work out, right? And yours is powerful. I mean, that chapter that you talked about, but there are lots of other things. ROI, right? Which is, let me see for every post, and you mentioned this briefly, right? If I haven't got 10 likes, it's a waste. Or same thing, right? Hey, I've put out so many DMs and no one is responding back to me. What's going on? So you getters don't operate by ROI, right? And again, I know you don't. So talk a little bit about it. And how do you dissociate the effort, investment being put in from the returns?
So goes back to, why are you doing it? Are you just putting stuff out so that you can make money? Are you just doing it to get clients? Is it purely for some kind of financial gain? Or are you putting thoughts, ideas, and things out to help to, be the guiding a path for other people, to be of service? And if you flip it to that mindset, not only will then it be easier for you to come up with things to think about sharing online, for you to just publish stuff without overthinking it, for you to feel good about the stuff that you're putting out there, but also your business will also do better. So it's just about switching from, thinking it's a transactional approach, or it's about the likes and comments. And then also, especially on LinkedIn's really lurker heavy. LinkedIn is beautiful compared to so many other platforms because it is a lot more supportive. It's a lot more kind. There's not, sure, sometimes there's some trolls, but there's generally not much toxicity versus, as we see on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, and other places. So it's beautiful that way, but also people lurk a lot and people tend to look. So I have had people who've come to me for advice, who have hired me, who have mentioned posts of mine before that they've connected with them, that helped them, that they enjoyed, but they never engaged on it. So know that you can still be making, an impact, helping people, serving people, even if there's not people clicking on it. Actually, sorry, I'm going to finish this rant. The other piece too, it's not just that LinkedIn is lurker heavy, because I turned 44 this year. I'm older. I remember when MySpace was new. I remember when Facebook was new. I remember those things. And people engaged with everything. It was like, oh, I like that. Yes, yes, yes. But now we're so inundated that we'll scroll and stuff. I will pause. I'll go, oh, that's very helpful. I like that. And I'm going to keep scrolling. Like we're just so overwhelmed that we still aren't going to do the thing to give it a little heart or whatever. So to just keep that in mind too.
Yeah, no, very, very true. Again, I'm going back for something in terms of ROI, right? And again, I go back to, I do this with all my guests, and this is stunning, right? Because your book has just come out, and the DMs that you are getting about people just getting through the book, and I read all your 5-star reviews on Amazon, by the way. So you're having a super impact. But here is the thing about the You Got It piece, right? Which is stunning, which is you are holding a workshop about telling people how to write a book in 45 days, right? And I'm reading from that. There's nothing for sale at this workshop. The session isn't going to end in a pitch slap, right? So we have gotten so used to this, right? It's like, hey, at the end of it, hey, have I a deal for you in the next 1 hour? If you don't give me $100, it's like it's going to go up to $200 and all that. So, where did you? I mean, you just said you turned 45. At what age did Robb wake up and said, it's not all about sales leads, it's not all about conversions, right? And just like you said, I mean, give people something that they can relate to, and they will come back if and when they choose to, right? And that's not taught, right? So is this through the school of hard knocks, or is it, how do you get it?
It's through the school of hard knocks. So there's a few parts of that. One is, one of my main drivers, one of my big values is connection with people. And I know that if I'm connecting people, if I'm helping people, if I'm teaching people, those are some of my big value priorities, then I feel good. Then I like who I am when I look in the mirror, then I sleep better at night. But I also know that long-term, over time, that leads to relationships, which does lead to the business doing well, versus unfortunately, so many other people treat this as a transactional approach. And we just have to look at some of the cold DMs we get from strangers, where they're like, hey, we're awesome, we do this awesome thing, here's the booking link. Like, it's just so far removed. There's that. And then the last piece is, I'm quite skilled at getting the message out, at amplifying a message. And a big part of that in this day and age, especially when we're inundated, is how do you stand out? How do you interrupt the feed? How do you zig when other people are zagging? And if everyone is doing these crappy webinars, workshops, where it's an intro, talking, teasing you, we're going to give you some value. Oh yeah, we're going to give you some 4.5 minutes of value, and then a 20-minute pitch. It's bullshit. It's exhausting, and it all looks the same. So then I'm thinking, okay, well, how can I be different? And if I really want to walk my talk and be of service, it's great. Then I know I can tell you this too. I'm doing this. It's free. I'm going to enjoy myself. It's going to reinforce what I've learned. I'm going to feel good that I've given, that I've helped, this karmic kind of contribution. But also, I'm confident that whether it is in 3 months or in 6 months or in 9 months, someone who's going to attend the workshops tomorrow is going to end up being a client. Yeah. But it's not why I'm doing it. It's different.
Yeah, it's so one of the other things, which is quid pro quo, right? And again, business school reinforcement is like, hey, what have I done for, what have you done for me if I've done X amount of things for you? And the You Got It mentality is you give, but then like you said, there's the lurker community. There are people who talk about, who may be lurking and know that they know of somebody who would actually benefit from becoming a client of yours. So all of those things, there's no direct quid pro quo at all, right? Which is, so again, how does somebody keep at it? Again, going back to consistency, it's like I'm looking at your videos, right? I mean, 14 seconds, I was the average 60. And for me, that's like, I can give 14 seconds of my time, right? And I listen to your 14-second video, and then tomorrow I'm going to give you 20 seconds, right? So that keeps bumping up. But that whole aspect of, okay, you've given so much, and people have asked you questions and all that, but he or she is not turned into a client. That's not a You Got It mentality. And so for people who are stuck in that thing of everybody's a prospect and conversion ratio and all that stuff, how do you walk away from that?
Well, what is your motives? Like, what is your motives? Long-term success? Like if we want to just focus on the business piece, is your motive long-term success in the business? And if your answer to that is yes, then you need to scrap it all and start taking a real relationship approach, treating people as individual humans and trying to create actual connections. And the way that you build connection, you build rapport, you build trust is by giving, it is by supporting. There's that very famous book by Gary Vaynerchuk, however many years ago, it was jab, 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 right hook. I think we're at the point now where it's probably jab, 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 jab. Like it just, and then maybe, once in a while, it's like, I have a thing if you're interested. But if it really does change. If you give so much, then people come to you. People see you as the expert. People refer you. People, they believe you. They trust you. It makes such a difference. And you're talking about, you gave me 14 seconds today, maybe tomorrow you'll give me 20, etc. Yeah. And when someone first encounters you for the first time and they first come across something of yours and you're a total stranger and your service is what you're offering, they'll give you a very finite amount of time, energy, and attention. But if in that they found some joy, some value, something interesting, something impactful, then they will give you something longer. And for me, it is so sad, back to these bad webinars, that someone maybe has come across you, they've watched a 14-second thing, so then the next day they're willing to watch a minute thing, they've watched a 3-minute thing, maybe they've read a blog post or whatever, and then they show up, they're like, I'm going to give Ashwin an hour of my time. I'm going to take time, I'm going to give him an hour of my time. And then of the hour, there's 6 minutes of value.
And then I'm pushing the rest of the
Yeah, like what an insult.
Yeah.
Like the people might as well show up and you might as well be giving them the middle finger. Like it's just,
Right.
yeah. So it goes back to what is your bigger purpose. And if your bigger purpose is to the long-term success, then you need to think about long-term relationships and treating people as humans. And that means giving, that means providing. And look, if you are doing that, if you're giving, if you're supporting, if you're coming from this place of connection and you're still not getting returns, well, then I'd say you should get some outside mentorship or help to look at the business. What is the business model? What is it that you're offering? Do people see actual value in what is you're offering? And there may be some other things that need to be changed there. But for most people, yeah, it's the quid pro quo. And it's like, what are you giving me? What's in it for me? And it's transactional and it feels icky and it's short term and it's not fun. It's not enjoyable for anyone.
So two more questions, right? One is mental health. And you get it, whether we like it or not, they tend to help as much as they can, right? And yet the need for this quantum of solace, the need for going back, recharging, and even sometimes saying no, right? And there's this big debate about whether to ghost or not to ghost and all that. But the point is, people have to take care of themselves first before they can help anybody else. Mm-hmm. So as a you-getter, how do you build that wall around you, if you will?
So yeah, I was thinking about that because I do think there's an evolution, because there's the ultimate place is to get to the place and realize that no, it is the healthy thing for you and it is what you need and you're putting yourself first and you're having the full boundaries. But to go from a place where you have no boundaries and you always say yes and you just this all the time, to go from that to prioritizing yourself fully, it's hard. There's a big gap. The in between, which is a stepping stone, which can work, and I've seen work for a lot of people, is realizing that by saying no, by prioritizing yourself, by unplugging, by refueling, whatever that looks like for you, that it's actually going to make you better for others. It's going to make you a better parent. It's going to make you a better husband. It's going to make you provide better services to your clients. It's going to make you a better employee. Whatever your life is, like all of the things that are important to you, all the roles that you have and whichever ones you prioritize, it will make you better at those things for the people you care about when you refuel, when you unplug, when you say no. And then once you've done that and you're comfortable doing that, then hopefully it allows you to evolve to a place where you're able to say like, no, this is what I need. This is what my soul needs. This is what my energy needs.
Great. So two more questions. That's consistency and adaptation. Right? And again, from a you-guided perspective, it's like, hey, you're giving, but then it's not like, hey, Sunday is 7 a.m. I'm going to give and then go underground for 2 months. And you're an epitome of that, right? It's like consistency is there, but you're also adapting, right? The post to videos and the workshops. So how does somebody marry those two, which is showing up, but also learning how to adapt?
Mm-hmm. Both really great things and definitely connected. I think the first thing I want to point out is knowing that showing up doesn't have to mean every day. It doesn't need to mean 7 days a week. It doesn't even need to be 5 days a week. And I know people, and I'm seeing someone who's having some success right now. They're busy, they have a full-time job, they're building their business on the side. They're committed to showing up once a week. And they're consistently showing up once a week. They're definitely putting out a video. They're definitely engaging with the community. And that's all they have the bandwidth for right now. And it's allowing them to learn and to grow. And it is attracting some clients. And so just knowing that consistency doesn't need to be all the time. And then the adaptability piece, yeah, you're green and growing. Everything around us is adapting. Nature is always adapting. And you can say like, no, this is the way I do it. Or embrace the opportunities. LinkedIn was emphasizing, over indexing videos up until probably a year ago, but now videos get hardly any views.
Yeah.
So, you go ahead, keep doing just video if you want. I'm not going to tell you not to, but maybe you should consider, and for some people it might be that they're really good at speaking on video, but they're not as good at writing. Cool. Record it in Zoom, extract it, have it transcribed, then use it as a written post, vary it, try some different approaches. Because I like to joke, I'm going to try not to do that. The car and buggy was awesome. I normally have a swear word when I say that. I normally say the car and buggy was awesome until someone invented the car. So it's just like, adapting and evolving is good. It allows you to learn. And my favorite people, mentors, peers are people that adapt, because it's fun. It allows you to see it as a game. It allows you to see it as play. It allows you to see it as like a dance of sorts. And being rigid about something generally long-term does not work out, because everything around us is evolving.
Yeah, as Charles Darwin famously said, right?
Yeah.
So final question, for somebody who's not a YouGatter, right? What advice does Rob have for him or her to start making the first step? What's that initial foray that they need to start doing?
Oh, it's so contextual, because it depends on kind of where they're at and kind of what they're stuck with. You've been asking me a bit about content. I'll answer that one, and I'll maybe think if a deeper answer kind of comes to me. One of the things I say to people is start with commenting. Sometimes the idea of showing up is scary. It's hard. Like, oh, my idea. Comments are content. And I don't mean like, good job, great video. I mean, actually your thoughts contribute. What are you thinking? How did this make you feel? What is it that you particularly like about it? Why? And then realizing that comments can be content, especially on somewhere like LinkedIn, where it is a very supportive, incredible community. And I think maybe on that note, I mentioned a bit earlier, is you're not going to find a more supportive community. You're really not going to find a more supportive community for you to start showing up and sharing your message and kind of, putting your thoughts and ideas out there. I've been through iterations on a few other platforms. I've never been part of a community like this.
Awesome. Yeah. And again, this is perfect because we are on LinkedIn Live. So the community that's watching this is the LinkedIn community. So again, great tips again. Urge you to go get the book, Die Before They Do. And it's you have that? Yeah. Okay. There it is. Right. Like I said, it's just amazing that what you did in 45 days, but also the aspect of, again, I could not emphasize that more, about the ability to give back and teaching others. If I can do it, so can you. Come join the workshop. Right. So again, thanks for walking the talk, Rob, and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks.